Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have what kind of a show today, Don? We are going to have a great what?
A great show.
Yeah, you are. You know, he has such a way with words. You know, he's just so cool. What kind of show are we gonna have?
An awesome show. I don't know which word you want me to use.
Okay,
you didn't write it down.
I didn't write it down. I'm so sorry. Well, we are going to have a great show for you guys today, folks, because we have a special guest. Before we get into the blog of the week, I just am going to ask her to say hello.
Hey.
The next governor of...
Just fine, thank you. Great afternoon.
We are going to have a great time, aren't we?
Sounds great to me. Let's hit it.
Actually, so anyway, folks, we have special guest Lupe Valdez. The title of the show today is Special Guest Lupe Valdez. Is this year for the woman? Is this the year of the woman? Is this the year for a woman to rule Texas again? If Texas Democratic gubernatorial candidate Lupe Valdez has anything to say about it,
it will be so.
Man, you didn't even let me a chance to say
no,
it.
It will
be so.
It will happen.
It will happen. This is going to be the year of the woman, folks, and we are going to do it, and we are going to do it right. I have to make sure that our Texans understand that. But anyhow, folks, Politics Done Right is honored to have Texas Democratic gubernatorial candidate Lupe Valdez as our special guest. She discusses how she intends to win the race with all the headwinds in Texas. Headwinds and all. She intends to win this race, and we're going to make sure, or folks are going to make sure, I'm a host. Folks are going to make sure she wins this race. And you know what? Most importantly, she's going to discuss Texas. She's going to discuss healthcare. She's going to discuss transportation. She's going to discuss social justice, economic justice, criminal justice, and much more. But folks, before we get into our program, I want to remind you that this is a what? This is a listener-supported radio, and you know KPFT is a bastion of intelligent voices and programs. As a political activist myself, my favorites are Think Wing Radio with
Mike Honig on Mondays at 2 p.m.
And of course, there is Open Journal with
Dwayne Bradley and crew on Mondays at 6 p.m.
And we have Jazz Latino, Afro-Cuban Latin Jazz at its very best, hosted by
Juan Flores on Tuesdays at noon.
Absolutely so. And we have Journal Asian Radio, a weekly radio program featuring an eclectic mix of Asian underground Bhangra, Bollywood funk, Hindi, Rai, where ancient sounds meet future beats.
That's Thursdays from noon to 2 p.m.
Really? And then we have, of course, Really, But Not Really, a hip-hop and R&B parody show Thursdays at
10 p.m. by Rosemont and Marcel Monroe.
Absolutely. So, folks, check out our full schedule at kpft.org, where you can find programming from music to politics to medicine to the eclectic. KPFT is listener-supported public community radio station. So please remember that if you like what you hear, visit where? kpft.org, and ensure we remain a strong, viable community radio station that provides news, programming, and information not influenced by whom?
The corporatocracy.
Absolutely not. So, folks, we want to hear your thoughts. We want to get your calls. We want you to call in and ask the next governor of Texas. And, okay, let me take my host hat off. Who we think will be the next. Is that not either?
No.
Oh boy, you know, we have all these FCC rules that we have to follow. You know,
Okay.
That
I was trying to figure out what you were doing here.
Yeah, you know, this is a coach that says, Egberto, we have to know what we're doing. But anyhow, before I'm gonna start it this way. I want to have a little talk with the governor first, then I'll go into the blog of the week. So we'll hold the blog of the week a little bit, and then we'll talk.
Okay.
All right. How are you doing? You know, I think our audience, and folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5738. And again, that number is 713-526-5738. And I want to ask a favor, Don. Please verify that, if you don't mind, that the Facebook Live stuff is coming up fine, because we're having every now and then we have those network issues. So I'd appreciate that. Anyhow, Governor, our next governor of Texas, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself? You know, give us a little bit of your genesis. I went ahead and watched a great video, and folks should go to, what's your website?
LupeValdez.com.
Let me tell you, that was an inspiring video that I watched of how
it's called Small Thing.
Small Thing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your upbringing?
You know, I came from the poorest zip code in San Antonio.
Uh-huh.
And I am so honored to have been given a quality public education. I went across town, as you saw in the video.
Right.
I went across town to get a quality public education.
Right.
That continued to open doors for me. By the way, I strongly believe that public education is an equalizer. It helps a lot of people. It is an equalizer.
Right.
So, and that happened to me. I went clear across town to get a quality public education.
Right.
And therefore, it opened a lot of doors for me. I went on to college. I went on to the military. I became a federal agent, in which I traveled several foreign countries as a
Let me
agent.
interrupt a second. Did you go to college first, or did you go to the military first?
I went to college first.
Okay, got it.
I went to college first. Then I went to the military and reserves. And then I ran after a 22 year career as a federal agent, I ran for the sheriff of Dallas County. Of course, you know, one of the largest counties other than Houston in Texas. Of course, Houston's the largest, but other than that, Dallas is one of the largest counties in the nation. So our jail system was the 7th largest in the nation. So I did handle, and I did have a lot of challenges. It really bothers me when they say that women cannot handle a lot of these things. You want to say, look what I've done in the last 13 years. Of course, there's been a lot of people that are with you, that are helping you. No person can manage 9,000 inmates and 3,000 employees by themselves. So there has been a lot of work done in management, and I am honored to have come from such humble beginnings. And I think that's why I have a passion to get something done in Texas, because I can see what it did for me. And why can't we provide that same kind of opportunity for others?
You know, I'm going to tell you something, Miss Valdez. What I found with what I learned about you is, I think this is the right time in Texas that we have somebody who understands the plight of what Texans are going through. Because over the last several decades, the 20 years that we have been unable to elect let's say, somebody with a progressive viewpoint in this state that could actually see what the least of us are going through.
Look, I know what it is. I know what it is to have to work 2 jobs to go to school.
Right.
I know what it is to try and decide between the rent or going to see the doctor. You know, I know what these issues are. I know what it is to try and figure out how you're going to make ends meet, you know, as you're trying to better yourself. So, of course, and I know what it is for people to be prejudiced against you.
Right.
As you know, I'm Latina lesbian.
Right.
So, people have, on many occasions, there's been prejudice against me. So I often say, who best to lead than someone who's been through all of this and knows what a lot of folks are going through. Currently, our leadership is basically for the lobbyists and the donor friends. Well, what about the rest of us? I estimate even 90% of us, you know, or maybe even 95% of us that still would like some leadership from Texas. So the rest of us need to have that leadership too. And there's more of us. Texas is not a red state. It's a non-voting state.
I love that you said that. And one of the things that we really are going to have to get done and get done sooner than later is for us to start engaging these people to vote. What are you doing specifically as the top of the ticket specifically to ensure that we are going to get participation not only from the people that already vote, but from the Latino community, from the ethnic community, the different ethnic communities.
The Muslims, the Asians.
We as a state, we are one of the most diverse states in the country. So what do we do?
And we are, but we need to start voting to show it. I often say the current brand that is seen of Texas is not the real brand.
Right.
That's only a certain percentage of the brand.
Right.
The majority of the Texas brand is a lot more tolerant. And, we used to be called the friendly state.
Yes.
Many years ago, we were called the friendly state. And we were also very high on education and public education.
Right.
Both of those have kind of disappeared. And I think it's time to bring us back. As far as what we're going to do, I had a very wise minister once said to me, if the people come into our church and don't see themselves in the front, they're not coming back.
Exactly.
And so we need to be able to put all people up front. When I became the sheriff of Dallas County, I changed the executive staff so it represented the whole city. Mm-hmm. Anglo, Hispanic, African American, Asian, you name it.
You were intentional in what you did.
Oh, I had to go looking. I literally, I often joke and say I had to steal that African American chief from another department,
jurisdiction,
to bring her to where it was a bigger representation.
Right.
And all of the ones I brought came from smaller areas, but I also challenged them and said, you'll have a much greater opportunity to be who you need to be in front of your community, and a professional, ethical person in front of your community.
In other words, you were hiring people because of their capabilities.
Always
hired them firstly because of their capabilities, but you also opened your eyes to make sure that everybody was represented.
I sought them out. I went looking for them.
Texas is one of those states that we call, I think, the majority minority state, which means there are a bunch of us in this state of all different hues, of all different viewpoints, of all just about everything that you can think of. So we need leadership that makes sure that we're representative.
If we vote, we win.
Right.
But if you don't vote, look, I often say the last session was so disrespectful to the Hispanics. Mm-hmm. And if we...
Actually, sorry to break you there, but I think
right.
that needs some explanation. Explain what you mean by the last session was very...
on the last day of the session,
right.
They were arguing back and forth. Mm-hmm. And it got almost physical.
Right.
And somebody came up to the microphone, and there was a lot of people in the rotunda, in the sitting area, and somebody came up to the microphone and said, "I just called ICE on all of you."
Oh no!
Yes,
you have got to be kidding me.
No, you can. I
didn't even see that one.
You can pull it up.
Right.
It up. And another Hispanic person said, "Are you telling me that you're assuming that all of us are undocumented?"
Undocumented, right?
And which was not the case. There was all and my statement on that. I think I'm going to get that and play it over and over again. My statement on that is, if the Latinos and the minorities had voted, they would never disrespect us like that because they would be held accountable.
Exactly.
For their votes.
Exactly.
So we, in order to be heard, in order to be respected, in order to be listened to, we've got to vote.
Right.
We have got to get in there and get the vote.
Well, it is interesting because, as it turns out, a lot of people don't realize that their vote count, and I think that is one of the things that is occurring in Texas. What we have is a population that really thinks that they don't matter. And I do a whole lot of blogging, I do a whole lot of talking, I go all over the state, and that is what I actually see most of the times, and that is that people think, oh, it doesn't matter whether I vote or not.
Look, we have to remind them, Irving, Texas,
right?
A city councilman won by one vote.
Right.
One vote. Tell me that vote didn't matter. Virginia, I believe, I'm not quite sure, but I think it was in Virginia. there was another, either a state or a federal election where the person won by one vote. And that one vote made all the difference in the world. Even if it's 20 votes, 500 votes, 5,000 votes. You know, in the state of Texas, that's a that's a small amount. So we have to be able to get out there and make our vote count. And it does make a difference. How you vote depends on who is going to make the future of Texas. We have got to get back to a future of Texas and currently in Texas where we pay attention to the people and not to the donors and the lobbyists that are taking care of our meals and doing other stuff. We need to be able to get back to serving the people.
Absolutely.
And it's not going to happen if the majority of the people don't vote.
Okay, for the caller in line, I have to ask the governor a few more, the governor to be a few more questions, and then I'll come to you. And for those that are listening on Facebook Live, sorry for what occurred there, but it seems like we are still having network problems in the, what I'm using right now is complete the cellular channel. For us to get on the network, because apparently the building we've had some problems with the building and the network outside. Okay. Governor, what's your platform? Specifically, let's talk about healthcare. That's been my passion for a very long time. Texas has left several $1 billion on the table, but what's worse? And I don't want to get into too much of a soliloquy here, but I really want you to take it from this point of view: the irresponsibility of Republicans in this regards. We know that an economy works where dollars circulate. We also know that an economy works with healthy people. We also know that if you bring more money into healthcare, more people get taken care of.
Well, first of all, you know, healthcare is a right. We have a right to be healthy.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
Any employer wants a healthy and educated workforce.
Exactly.
So we need to pay attention to the health and education.
Right.
Now, when I was growing up and somebody got sick, it was, do we go to the doctor o a ver qué pasa?
Para ver qué pasa, claro.
A ver qué pasa. Let's see what happens. A ver qué pasa is not a decent health care plan.
Explain that in English for folks. The way you said it's funny. It's funny the way you said it.
Well, a ver qué pasa means let's see what happens. You know, do we go to the doctor or let's see what happens? Hopefully the person doesn't die or doesn't get extremely sick.
Right.
You know, let's see what happens is not a decent health plan.
Right.
Now, we're still paying for it. The emergency rooms are tax-based. So everyone who goes to the emergency room and has to have the county pay for that, we are still paying for that. People will say, well, if we take the Medicaid, we have to put in a certain percentage. Where are we going to get that percentage? Guess what? We're already paying it.
Right.
It's already being paid.
But there's something that they didn't realize. When the first 3 years of the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act was free. 0. After that, it was 10%.
Yes.
So it's just now that we're into the 10% realm.
So imagine how much money we've left on the table.
Yes.
Now, I personally think that we're leaving it on the table because it was started by Barack Obama.
That is the reason.
The ego of a public official to hurt their people because of something he's biased against.
Yes.
Our as being an elected official should never hurt the people that we serve. We'll make mistakes. There's no question about that. We'll make mistakes, and every decision. I used to joke in my office. There was not one decision that I will make that everybody likes.
Right.
Whatever decision you make, somebody's not going to like it. Even if you say, "Oh, we're getting a 5% raise. Oh, why can't we get 10%?" You know, whatever it is. And I understand that. There are some decisions that we make that not everybody likes. But you should never make a decision that you know is going to hurt your people.
And that is what
First,
they've done.
do no harm.
The thing about it, for the listeners out there on the radio, this is very important that you guys hear wherever you are, whether you're in Katy, whether you're in Nacogdoches, wherever you are. And I don't care if I have a lot of Republican listeners as well, conservative listeners as well. What I want to tell you is that the only way that those people that you love out there are going to get the care, the medical care that they need right now, is if whatever governor gets elected this time has told you they will, in the near term, accept the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. If that doesn't occur, there's nothing that Trump has in his plan right now. And believe me, I follow it in detail. I write about it every day.
Illness crosses party lines.
Right.
You know, it doesn't choose this one or the other one, or it doesn't choose well-to-do or educated or uneducated. It crosses all lines. So we need to be able to do for all Texans what is best. You know, there's never going to be a perfect solution, but we have to find the best for all of us.
Yeah, and right now, the solution that we have right now, the one that will help people right now, is a Medicaid expansion to the
and
Affordable
it will,
Care.
and also bring
Just for now.
It should also bring our taxes down. When you look at your taxes, if you live in a large county, a lot of that will go to hospital expense, and that's because we're paying for it right now. So why don't we just go ahead and do it correctly and have and be able to have everyone be on some kind of health plan?
Now, as it stands, let me ask you, what's your thoughts on a single-payer Medicare for all type insurance plan for the country, specifically for Texas?
That would be nice,
Mm-hmm.
but it's going to take us a while to get there.
Explain.
So right now, you know, we want to accept the Medicaid expansion and start there,
Mm-hmm.
and then we work on to all the others. But we've got to start somewhere. And I often tell people, I'm not going to have all of your answers to everything, but we're going to start. We're going to start in the right direction, and we've got to start by accepting the Medicaid expansion and making it possible for people to be on health care.
Absolutely. So, okay. Texas has an interesting situation that I call, I strongly believe in the commons, okay? And I always believed in freeways and highways and so forth as being the commons. We in this state have really started relying on bringing external companies, and some of them foreign, into our state to build highways, which then people pay tolls for, which never go away. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, we've got to continue to put money into infrastructure. And infrastructure is not having somebody else line their pocketbook. Infrastructure is taking care of our people.
Right.
Now, you know, we have tollways all over. And that basically says only the rich get to use it.
Right.
Do they need to get somewhere faster? I don't know. You know, I think I need to get there just as fast. But we've got to start putting funds into our bridges, our roads, our drainage systems, our sewer systems, all of that. We need to start putting money into our infrastructure so that we can have a better life. We don't have to spend as much on these other things.
To many, that sound almost like a cliche. But here in Texas, we just had some major floods that many of them would have been mitigated if we had infrastructure spending to build the things that we needed to build to mitigate it.
15 years ago, we were told this was necessary.
Right.
We keep putting it off. There's going to be another rain. There's going to be another hurricane. So why don't we start taking care of it now? There's plenty of things we can do, and it's gonna get some people upset. And somebody's going to have to...
When you say, who is it going to get upset that we have to spend some money on? The people are going to pay a little bit more in taxes?
A little bit more in Texas, and the people that you're going to have to say, you can't build there. That's going to flood. You cannot build there. You're going to have to go further out, or you're going to have to go somewhere else. Those folks who want to build right on the water...
Yes.
You know, that's... You can't really build there. You can have a park, you can have something else, but you can't really build there because you're gonna have a problem. It's gonna happen again, and somebody's gonna have to be strong enough to be able to say, "Let's do it right."
Okay. Now, what are you doing and I'm going to ask you some more questions on policy, but I tell you what, let's go ahead and bring in that caller and see what the caller has to ask, and then we'll go on into a bit more policy. Caller, you're on.
Hey, Egberto.
Hey, how you doing, my friend? Talk to me.
I want to give you two thank yous.
Thank you and thank you.
Now, I want to give you the first thank you is for putting Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's come back to Chris Cuomo on CNN. That was excellent the way she undressed him.
Yes, it was
great.
perfect the way she did it.
That's the aggressive progressive I like to see in all our candidates.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why I voted for Lupe Valdez in the primary, why I sent her a contribution, and why she's on my list to continue contributing to.
Let me thank you now.
And I'd also am planning to make some time to be able to phone volunteer for you if that's available by the end of this month, if that's not too late. Is that possible? And where do I go?
We're opening an office in Houston. I don't have the exact address right now because, of course, we're working through several folks with the Democratic Party here. That address will be on our website, and it's not too late now, and it won't be too late in the next 2 months, September and October. Well, there will be plenty of time to phone bank. So that office will be open. I think it's by the end of this month or the middle of this month. We will have an office open here in Houston, and that will be on our website. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be on the Democratic Party website also. So,
will people like myself who are in outlying areas, will we be able to do phone banking for you from our home like I did for Bernie?
Yes, of course. They'll send you a list. All you do is actually we can send it to you from Dallas. We'll just send you a list, and you can go through that. And if I'm not the expert in field, but I believe we can send it to you through the computer and through your email, and you can get the list and just call from there and send us the results.
Yeah, I was so crazy for Bernie that I blew up my. I burnt out my laptop for Bernie. I hope I don't have the same thing for you.
No, get an extra laptop right now. So that you can do just as much and not burn it up.
I am sure Miss Valdez would love you to burn up more than 2 laptops. Burn up as many as you can.
Hey, Egberto, before I hang up,
yes,
I want you to give Lupe a copy of my voters' demand list for all candidates.
Okay, I will surely give her that. I'll actually have to send her the link for that demand list.
What you do with all those hard copies I mailed you?
It's in somewhere in my office, but I do everything electronic. But brother, don't worry, I'll make sure it gets to the right place.
I think I have it. I think I already have it. I think
you have my demand list?
I have somebody's demand list.
Well, I think he wants to make sure you have his. So
okay.
I'll email that to you.
Yeah,
hey,
we can get it.
Folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5738 if you're interested.
Have a good day.
Hey,
thank you for calling.
Thank you, buddy. 713-526-5738. Now, let's talk a little bit about the criminal justice system in Texas. You are an officer of the court, or you were an officer of the court.
I retired.
You're a retired officer of the court. First of all, what's your impression? And let's not necessarily go with Dallas County, but the state in general with respect to how we handle criminality in different neighborhoods.
We've got to get a little smarter. There is a Pew study, and unfortunately I can't list it for you right now, but there is a Pew study that says if you take a young person who's committed a minor crime and you put them in jail, the chances of them becoming a criminal was ridiculous, like 80 or 70%. Yet if you take that same person and hold them accountable, but do not send them to jail, the same percentage of them not reoccurring. As there is in reoccurring in jail, there is not reoccurring if you don't put them in jail. There is ways of taking care of this but for the longest time, Texas has been known as the tough state, as a hard state, and oftentimes that can be the bias or prejudice of criminal justice. And there is no doubt, law enforcement has not always been fair to minorities. I know that. I've been in law enforcement 42 years. And myself and a lot of the people that I hired and brought on to this department who had already been law enforcement somewhere else, we're trying to do everything possible to change that. You have got to represent the community. The law enforcement has got to look like the community, or they'll never trust them. We have got to be part of who the community is so that we know what they're dealing with. Again, I always say, I'm the one who came from the poorest neighborhood. I'm the one who had to choose between rent and a doctor. I'm the one who had seen the discrimination against my own parents. So we're the one to stop it. We're the ones who experience it. We're the ones to stop it. We need to bring more folks that look like the community. We're not pushing anybody out. We're bringing people in.
I think that is so important what you just said there. We're not pushing anybody out. You see, I think some of the angst that we have in the country, in the state right now, with what let's say Donald Trump is blowing up with the ethnophobia and the xenophobia and all these different phobias is just that. The impression that he wants to give people that they're pushing some out to let others in. I think that statement that you made should go on a placard. We are no, really, because what I find in talking to conservatives is that is their biggest fear.
Look, I often say when we're talking about equality and bringing fairness to all,
right? And
a lot of people start being afraid. What are you afraid of? Are you afraid that we're going to treat you like you treated us?
That is, something, Nelson Mandela shows how rewarding it could be to say, no, that's not what we're going to do.
But you know why I always add to that?
Yes.
We're bigger than that.
Exactly.
We're bigger than that.
Exactly.
And we're better than that.
Exactly.
We're not going to be doing. We've experienced it. We don't want anybody else
to experience. And I think that, and I think, believe it or not, I think the people, those of us, well, again, Houston is not Houston, but Texas itself is a large minority population. But I think it is so important for us, in order, not because it's right or wrong or whatever, but I think it's so important to get that message across.
We need to be inclusive.
You don't fear,
being pushed out.
Being pushed out, because that is not what these people that are coming in are all about. They know what it feels like to be pushed out. And none of these folks that I know that are running are of the vengeful type.
None. No. We're better than that. We're not. We need to be inclusive.
Right.
That includes, everybody, not just certain ethnic groups, not just everybody. Mm-hmm. And we are so much better when we're together.
Right.
When I was first going to school in college, and believe me, I was lost 3/4 of the time. I would go to the college, and I didn't feel like I belonged.
Right.
And then I would come home, and I didn't feel like I belonged.
Right.
So and I remember thinking, well, where am I? I'm lost in college, and I come back home, and I'm lost here. We should be able to take those experiences and make it possible for other people not to be lost amongst us.
We're not really talking policy here, but I think this is an important discussion, and for the folks to hear this. This is very important. I think if we can get that through the heads of many people, I think a lot of changes occur. We have a government in Texas right now, the people who lead the government in Texas, that is what they're preaching to their people. They're preaching to their people, oh my God, you don't want Lupe Valdez because she's going to do this to you. We don't want, and I won't mention our other candidates because we're dealing with you right now, but we don't want because of that. It is important for you guys out there who are listening to realize something that is very important, right? You want to ensure that folks have not necessarily lived your experience, but are able to empathize with your experience. And there's something that one has to ask about the current government that we have in Texas. And that is, do you really feel that those guys up there can really empathize with you? Do you really think they have your values, or do you vote for these guys simply out of fear that which is coming may be worse?
We've got to stop this fear-mongering politics. In any situation, in Germany, in
the Balkans,
the wars,
right?
The wall,
right.
It didn't work in China, it didn't work in Germany,
right?
And we're doing all this fear-mongering, and who wants to live under fear? We need to live under equality and fairness and just. And that should be for everybody, not just the minorities, because that's where we're going. That's where a lot of people are going. If they come in, this is going to... No, it's not. We're not revengeful people. We're
So talk to, Governor to be, talk to that white... I saw your face. Talk to that white farmer in Timbuktu who has no health care, doesn't make enough, and will not get any health care, assuming the wrong person wins the governorship.
It is more important that you have the things you need than to be afraid. Fear, as a law enforcement officer, we confronted fear time after time. And the comment was always, what do you do with fear? You just keep going.
Right.
You just move right through. It is better to have the things you need, health care, a decent opportunity, an opportunity that will work for all of us, public education. Again, public education is an equalizer. The rural areas need that just as badly as anybody else. And the rural area has become a medical desert.
Right.
We need to start paying attention to that. That is more important to the rural person, to have an area where they can get assistance, they can get help in their diseases and their illness, than it is to be afraid. And how do I say, I don't want to say a lie, but unjustly afraid.
Right.
Because it's not a true fear.
Right. It's a fear based on a lie.
That is a make-up fear, made up by a lot of people who don't want to lose how they're enriching themselves.
Well, you can't say this, but I probably can. Let me just lay this out straight, folks. Look, we have a government right now that pretty much benefits from screwing you, and the way they are able to screw you is they tell you to be fearful of others. That way you are not looking at what they're doing to you. If we look at our current government in Texas right now, the amount that they take from you to give away, if we look at what has been taken away from education, that doesn't hurt just a whole bunch of left-wing Democrats or whomever. That hurts you. When they take away the health care for the parts of Texas that really strongly vote red, what do you think it has done to the rural areas? Which are the areas without health care? The rural areas. We can go from item to item to item. The reality is they keep you in fear so that you don't vote in your interest.
The way I usually challenge that is they put up all this smoke and mirrors.
Right.
The bathroom bill, the show me your papers bill, the Jade Helm, they're coming to attack us.
To attack us, yeah.
Yeah. They put all this up so they don't have to deal with a real challenge.
Exactly.
Because it is very challenging to provide health care for all of Texas. But we're willing to do that.
But
we're
Ms.
willing
Valdez,
to take the challenge.
It is hard to provide health care to Texans because they chose the path not to provide health care to Texans. In other words, you are asking them to go against what they've done. Because the truth of the matter is, there are options. In fact, interestingly, if we had provided more Texans the options for health care, all of our medical expenses would have fallen because the pool would have been that much larger. Let's go to a call. Come on in, caller.
Hey, Egberto, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Talk to me.
I'm glad this is Wayne, Egberto.
Talk to me, Wayne.
Hello, Lupe.
Hey, Wayne.
I kind of had a question here. I don't know if Lupe heard it or... and it kind of goes to you too, Egberto.
Sure.
I heard a story last night or something. I was kind of dozing off before I had to go to work there. But I heard a story. It was either on the news or somewhere that here in Texas, the Texas people are thinking about taking. Maybe it wasn't just the Texas people. Maybe it was the national, the federal government wanting to send prisoners from your home country, Portuguese or Portugal?
I'm from Panama, but it's okay.
Okay, but it's in that area. But they want to send them here to be housed here because they was crowded and it was either Portuguese or Portugal here. Now, what Trump is running around here talking about, and Luke, you want to chime in on this, you can, because this is a good opportunity. What Trump is running around here talking about not giving people visas and citizenship. Now, if we take those people in from another country, shouldn't they be given citizenship, whether they're criminals or not?
No,
I think they should be.
First
if you're going
of
to
all,
bring them here to hold them in jail, well, you're in America now. You're getting paid to hold them here. Why not?
First of all, I don't know where you heard that, but that
Well, I
sounds
did hear.
that sounds like
I
another
did hear.
fear-mongering.
Well, it might be
Fear-mongering,
fear-mongering, but you better check it out.
Yeah, we'll check it out, Wayne. Thank you, my dear brother. We'll check it out. You want to just kind of touch on the part on citizenship? Let me first say while Lupe is born here, I'm a naturalized citizen, so I can talk about the naturalization process, and it's a very complicated process. In fact, one of the things I can tell you is that because I'm a naturalized citizen, there's a good chance I know a hell of a lot more American history than a whole lot of born Americans.
Yes.
Okay, so that is a reality that of being a naturalized citizen. Also, the FBI and all these other guys went to the equivalent to the Panamanian FBI to find out that I was a worthy person to come over to this country. So the fallacy is that that foreigners are coming over here to overrun the country. All of that is false. The details that go into making a foreigner an American citizen is huge, and we go through a lot more than the average American citizen who was born here, who had to do no checks or anything like that. So,
well, first of all, we often hear this statement. Well, my ancestors came in here the right way. They came in here legally. Sure, they went up to Ellis Island and signed a line.
right.
If that's the way we're going to make it legal, we can go up to any port and you can sign on the dotted line. There was not even any background checks.
Right.
So please don't tell me that if your ancestors came in the right way, then everybody else should. Of course, if the right way was just the same as it was for them.
But Miss Valdez, I'm going to say something again that you can't say, but it goes this way. I think as far as America has a whole lot to atone for, okay? And therefore, for all those folks that came into this country originally, folks, there is no difference. Well, actually, there is a difference. Those who came originally came and conquered. Those who are coming now just want a darn job. All right? That's the difference. One group came and conquered. The other said, I just want a job. I just want to work. And I was with the United Workers of America in New Orleans just last week. And I can tell you, if you ever see the kind of work that we're talking about, if you ever see the work ethic, you would beg to have these folks. And Miss Valdez, I want to tell you something I live in Kingwood, Texas. It's the most conservative area in town. You were there, and thank you for marching there. And that, folks, it's Miss Valdez here again anyway. There's this white guy, very conservative guy out there that comes and he talks to me all of the times, and he said, I was listening to a whole lot of programs, but I started listening to you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I have something for you. I have a blog that I want you to post for me. And I said, what it is? He said, I am pretty darn close to wanting open borders. And I'm not saying that's what we want here. This is not on Miss Valdez at all, but that's what he said. And what he said is, I realized one thing. Our standard of living will drop if we don't continue to have these people come into our country and become a part of us so that we can grow. Our Social Security is dead without them. Our retirement is dead without. This is a very conservative Trump voter. Came and he sought me out and he said, you know what? I want to post this on your blog.
Well, this country was built by immigrants.
Yes.
Everything that a lot of our progress has happened by immigrants. And I'm not for open borders.
I know.
Because there is people who will want to do harm.
Right.
And we have to make sure that no one who comes to do harm is given that opportunity. But the majority of the people that are coming out now do not want to do harm. They want to do good.
Exactly. They want a job.
They want a job. They want to support their family. And honestly, and it brings me back to the separation of children. I can't seem to get over that. What parent wouldn't want the best for their child? What caring parent wouldn't want the best for their child? I've heard story after story of pain and suffering, and I even talked to or heard about one gentleman who they cut his neck. They literally cut his neck, and he held it together, pretending to be dead. And he saw a TV show. I think it was one of the medical TV shows where it showed that if you pressed on the wound, you could hold it. And he literally pretended to be dead while he held
slice on his
and his mom said to him, "I don't care if you die in the desert, you can't stay here."
Right. So
no parent wants their children to suffer so much they can't have a decent life.
Absolutely not. And and folks, this whole the governorship of Texas, the presidency of the country, and all of that, we cannot ever let it be characterized as just being an issue, a one particular issue. What it is many issues, and they're not of any one of them are not of any lesser importance than the other. Let me get the caller, then we can go back to policy. Go ahead, line number 2.
Hey, how you doing, Egberto?
Oh, I'm doing fine. How you doing, sir?
Great. This is Tag speaking.
Hey, Tag, talk to me, or talk to the
talk to both of us.
Yes.
Yeah, folks. I think it's so ironic that people keep wondering why their health care insurance keeps going up and up and up, and why it's so expensive nowadays. And they don't seem to understand that the less people that have insurance is going to cost them more money because the insurance is going to cover these other people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that I just really think is comical. Oh, we don't want insurance for all because it's going to cost so much more money. In the Koch brothers study here, they just found out that it would actually cost everybody a lot less if everybody was. So I'd like to hear your thoughts about that.
There is no question. There is no question. The more we share, the easier it is on all of us. And of course, those of us who have been working with public education and healthcare know that. We know that if we do provide healthcare, when we provide healthcare for all of Texas, that it's going to cost a lot less. So there's no question. I mean, you're preaching to the choir.
Absolutely. So now, I have some questions here that, Don, did you have some questions you said? Because I can't pull it up here. Questions from the internet?
Yeah, I did. Ground game. One of those things of the optics. Because like whenever you Google Texas governor, Lupe doesn't show up at all until you go to news, and then it's like 7 down.
Right.
Anybody getting any votes or eyes on them, you have to have people in the back of their head always going, "Oh yeah, Lupe Valdez versus Greg Abbott."
Greg Abbott, right?
And what's your idea of how to get in the public eye more?
Well, we're doing quite a few things. We hired a whole communications team, and we've got some really decent communications team, and of course social media. And when you Google governor, I'm not governor yet, so you can't pull me up. Now, when you Google candidate for governor, then you're candidate for Texas governor, then you're gonna get a lot of stuff on me. But I'm not the governor yet, so it won't come up on that. Remember.
And I want to make a call out to the blogosphere in general. If you want an election that really features duality, that really features where ideas can be exchanged, it is imperative that all bloggers go out there and start putting within the echo space, within the blogosphere, these issues where Miss Lupe Valdez's name is prominent within your blogs, cross-referenced with these other things, because we all know. Let me just say something, Miss Valdez. There is a thick, we talk a lot about the Russians and what they've done in the election, etc. Many laugh at it, but it is true. But it doesn't even have to be the Russians. Folks on the right have enough money to saturate the internet with one side of the equation. And it is imperative for those that are bloggers and those that are independent media, independent bloggers and all of that to have a fair election. And this is not proselytizing or whatever that word is. This is just telling you, if you want, and listeners out there, listen to this now. If you want fair elections here, the blogosphere has to be populated by the candidates. This doesn't only apply right now to Ms. Lupe Valdez. It applies to the person that is running for the commissioner's court. It applies all around. Do not make assumptions, because when November comes, you don't want to regret what you hadn't done. You don't want to regret what you hadn't done. This is the year where we can actually get a change. So bloggers that are out there, liberal bloggers, progressive bloggers that are out there, get to work, my dear brothers and sisters.
Now, I heard that after the 2016 election,
yes,
that the most common word was regret.
Yes.
You know, all those people who just assumed
right.
that elections were going to happen without their involvement.
Right.
Had a lot of regret after that.
Right.
So we need to make sure that that's not our theme this year.
Absolutely so. And for that to happen, you know, this is when it comes to elections is not a one-person effort or a 10-person effort. It's in the case of a governorship, it's a statewide effort that has to get done. It's a statewide effort. Now, tell us a little bit about what within your platform that we had discussed that you'd like to tell us a little bit more about. You know, things that I may not. You know, there are certain passions that as a host that I have, but I'm sure there are other things that you like.
There's a lot of things. The Dreamers, the gun violence, and by the way, I wanted to add, when you said about the Russians, you know, it's now been discovered that Jade Helm was started by the Russians.
Yeah. Imagine that, huh?
So
here in Texas.
we get all this fear mongering, and thank you, the Russians that are starting all this. But let's talk about gun violence, for instance. That's a thing that is very common. And I've had a weapon most of my life. I've been in law enforcement for over 40 years. So I've had a weapon all my life. So yes, I believe in the Second Amendment, but I don't believe in stupidity. And there's quite a difference. No person who cannot settle their disagreements through other than violence should ever have a gun.
Absolutely not.
If a person doesn't know anything but violence in the little discussions, in card games, and whatever, if all they know to deal with their disagreements is violence, they should never be allowed to carry a gun. And currently, it seems like our governor just accepts gun violence. Let's fortify our schools instead of investing in education.
That is some of the most ridiculous statements I had ever heard.
Let's arm our teachers instead of paying them decently. You know, and gun violence will happen outside of the schools also. Right. It'll happen in the parks, in the churches. It already has. So why are we just dealing with this one issue? Because we're doing smoke and mirrors again. Let's pretend we're going to pay attention to the school and the children, and they won't discuss the actual gun violence.
Follow the money. Folks, follow the money. It's all about, and this is what I try to tell those that are voting against your own interests. When you're voting against your own interests, you're voting for the pocketbooks of a very small amount of people, and that's what you're doing.
Yes. So we need to get back to taking care of all of Texas, not just a percentage that is continually lining their pocketbooks.
Y lo que quiero hacer ahora es hablar específicamente a los latinos.
Vamos a hablar. Pues.
Tenemos que enseñar a los latinos que ellos tienen voz ahora. ¿Cómo vamos a mantener o cómo vamos a hacer que entiendan que tiene voz y que tienen que ir a votar ahora en esas elecciones en el 2018?
Bueno, una de las cosas que me da mucho dolor cuando oigo a un latino que dice, a mí no me importa votar.
Y hay muchos.
O, ¿para qué voto? La cosa es, como expliqué un poquito antes, es que si no votamos, no nos van a respetar. En la sesión última, como hablé antes, desrespetaron mucho al latino. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué no? No votan. La persona está muy confortable que no va a ser votado afuera de su posición. Así es que va a comenzar a decir cosas en contra de los latinos porque los latinos no votan. Ahora, si queremos respeto de las personas que hacen las leyes, tenemos que salir a votar y tenemos que hacer gente que decidimos lo que va a pasar en el futuro.
¿No piensas que el problema de la inmigración ahora va a hacer que, ya que sabemos que tenemos muchas familias mezcladas, crees que vamos a tener una forma, crees que eso va a dar el ímpetus a la gente a votar en esta elección?
A mí no me importa, a mí no me importa que sea la cosa, nomás que salgan. Dicen que es el gigante durmiendo.
Dormido, claro.
Bueno, me dan ganas de darle una patada a ese gigante o peliscarlo o algo, echarle agua fría o algo para que despierte ese gigante y salga a votar. Es necesario que el latino salga a votar para que cambie Texas.
Eso es la única forma en que cambia, porque ese es el único grupo que nos queda que no está votando en su cantidad.
Y si votaran los latinos, hubiera tanto cambio en Texas. Así es que es importante ahora que hay varios latinos que están en posiciones de ser candidatos para posiciones donde de veras hay podemos hacer diferencia, podemos hacer las cosas, los cambios que se necesitan en Texas. Ahora que estamos nosotros de candidatos, y nos cuesta. Yo dejé un trabajo muy bueno y ahora no tengo trabajo. Yo dejé un trabajo muy bueno porque es importante de sacar el mensaje al latino que tiene que votar. ¿Cómo va a cambiar y cómo van a mejorar las cosas si nos quedamos en la casa y no hacemos nada?
Dile a la gente por qué decidiste dejar ese trabajo, ese buen trabajo que pagaba muy bien. Sí. ¿Por qué lo dejaste para ser gobernadora de Texas? Porque
estaba viendo lo que está haciendo los personas que están en posición ahorita. Y todo lo que está haciendo está dañando a nuestra gente. Yo tuve una oportunidad tremenda de salir de la más pobreza de San Antonio.
Claro.
Y esa oportunidad debe de estar ahí para todos. Y no todos se van a avanzar, pero debe de tener la oportunidad ahí para poder avanzar. Y con las personas que tenemos elegidas ahorita en los republicanos en Austin, no va a pasar, nunca va a pasar.
Nunca va a pasar.
Hay que cambiar eso.
Nunca va a pasar.
Hay que dar oportunidad.
Folks, look, we have been honored here to have the Democratic gubernatorial candidate, Lupe Valdez, with us.
I see him smiling.
With us today. First of all, I want to thank you so kindly for spending this time with us.
Thank you.
But most importantly, I want to remind Texans, every single Texan of every hue, whatever, it is imperative that you go out there and vote your interest. I can say that. Always go out there and vote your interest, and you should know what your interest is. My name is we still have a few seconds? Oh, well, I have to... How many seconds?
2 now.
4? Oh, I got 4. Well, I'm going to give the last 40 seconds to Miss Valdez.
Look, it's important that we get out to vote. Texas is not what the rest of the U.S. sees. This is not the brand that is about Texas. Texas is caring, it's sensitive, and you talked about the person that said that if we don't bring immigrants, then we're going to
we won't be able to survive.
Well, I heard one Republican say, if you don't allow the people to come in, you're going to have to be taking care of your own grandma.
Absolutely. That is Egberto Willies with Politics Done Right, and I am out.
Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. You can personally reach me by sending an email to egberto@politicsdoneright.com. Remember, Egberto is spelled E-G-B-E-R-T-O. Change starts with you. 90.1 KPFT gives you information not tainted by corporate interest. Please visit kpft.org and contribute. Let's ensure continued access to real information and news remain available to all. Again, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right.